Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. Regional corporation and state agencies come together for cleanup efforts in Diego Martin. Cabinet approves multi-million-dollar plan to upgrade the Port of Spain drainage. And TNTech installs new streetlights along the Camden Link Road. Thank you for joining us to our top story. Heavy rains overnight brought flood waters rushing down to the Diego Martin district, forcing the regional corporation and other state agencies to band together in cleanup efforts. National Security Minister, the Honorable Gary Griffith, together with Water Resources and Environment Minister, the Honorable Ganga Singh, visited the region to assess damages and render assistance.
This was the scene in Diego Martin on Friday as residents grapple with making sense with damages sustained as a result of midnight into early morning rains. Floodwaters rose to heights, causing damage to property and homes.
Tons of debris came down as a result of these torrential rains, and members of the Diego Martin Regional Corporation were on hand and responded immediately as early as 3 a.m.
One resident described the waters coming in unexpectedly and having to scamper to save important documents.
There was about 3 to 4 feet of water inside, so when the water came in, there was not really much that could have been. What could have been saved, what we thought was up high enough, everything was just underwater. It's the worst flooding that the sea will ever. The water never reached the side before in the Diego Martin.
Describe to me what kind of help you're getting right now.
Right now we have the CPEP and the regional corporation helping us spray out the insides and helping us clean out the mud and the belt or the equipment or the furniture that's gathered so far.
Newly installed National Security Minister Captain Gary Griffith visited affected areas and was out on the streets early with members of the Regional Corporation, the Office of Disaster Preparedness Management, WASA and CPEP to look at the situation, meet with residents and offer assistance as much as possible.
The first thing that we had to do was the mop-up operation. There was a lot of mud, a lot of debris, a lot of silt. So we got to have to clean that up. We have to look at the hygiene situation. So that was the priority, to make sure that we clear the debris. The Defence Force, they're still actively engaged in mopping up operations, clearing the rivers with chainsaws, personnel, and the manpower is trying to clean up the area as quickly as possible. The next step will be the self-help, the Ministry of the People and Social Development, where we have to look and see what damage has been done and what they can do to assist the persons who have been hardest hit.
Water Resources and Environment Minister Ganga Singh visited the scene and gave an explanation as to what might have caused the heavy flood waters in the area.
There is need for, well, of course, a different hydraulic modeling given the fact that climate change is impacting, and there will be need for significant investment in the drainage infrastructure in this country in order to cure problems like this in the medium term. In the short term, we have to ensure the drainage channels are clear, but people they cannot build on the banks of the river and expect not to be at risk. When you build in a flood zone, you have to expect to get floods. But in the longer term, we have to deal with the water as a resource and have retention ponds and manage it differently.
It's thick slush like this that the Diego Martin main river brought onto the roadways and pavements and homes in the Diego Martin district after the river broke its banks last night following torrential rains, leaving authorities and residents with the responsibility to return life back to normal.
Another resident says last night downpour caused severe damage to her home and called for assistance in building retaining walls near the river.
I see rain falling. Now I can't see. When the rain continued, and the whole place was like a swimming pool. I had to, everything underwater. I had to put a board here to climb over by my sister. Otherwise, I'd have drowned inside here.
The cleanup exercise in the Diego Martin area is expected to last into Friday evening and later this week. Chairman of CPEP Adish Dinarain says over 200 CPEP workers are on hand and describes mop-up operations as systemic.
We are doing everything together with the regional corporation. We are following the instructions. They are doing the coordination, the ODPM. So what we're doing really is removal of debris, because we also have heavy equipment down here to support the regional corporation. We are doing power washing, and we will do continuous cleanup. That is what CPEP is about. So we will do continuous cleanup. So even after the floods, we will help the residents with their furniture, with removal of furniture and cleanup of the area. So we are basically here for the next couple of days.
Kimberly Calawan, News 4.
Severe flooding in Port of Spain is an issue which the government is aggressively advancing to alleviate. Recently, Cabinet gave approval for a multi-million-dollar plan to upgrade the city's drainage.
Cabinet has approved a flood alleviation and drainage program for Port of Spain. This was revealed on Thursday by Minister of the Environment and Water Resources, the Honourable Ganga Singh, during the post-Cabinet news briefing. The Honourable Minister noted that the program has three components.
Component 1, drainage works for the critical flood areas in Port of Spain. The main types of works to be included are interceptors, drainage systems, detention ponds, and pumping stations. Component 2 is the institutional strengthening of the Drainage Division of the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources. This component would include all the necessary activities to support the transformation of the Drainage Division into an independent authority under the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources. Component 3, the linear park. This component would finance all the civil and landscaping works for the implementation of the 1.8-kilometer linear park to be located at St. Anne's River, which would be designed in conjunction with the catchment analysis and drainage works design.
Minister Singh said approval had also been given to the establishment of an inter-ministerial steering committee to provide guidance on the execution of the program. He stated that the actual works to be conducted under the Port of Spain Flood Alleviation Program is expected to cost US $90 million, while the institutional strengthening will cost US $10 million, and the linear park will come at a cost of US $20 million. The US $120 million will be derived from a loan arrangement with the Inter-American Development Bank. Meanwhile, Minister Singh said work was being done in the capital city in collaboration with the Mayor of Port of Spain.
Over the last few months, we have been working with Mr. Lee Singh and the Office of the Mayor of Port of Spain with a view to putting basic infrastructure in the water inlets, in the streets, in Charlotte Street, in Nelson Street, in the South Key area, so that the garbage that is strewn does not go into the drains, because the drains are under capacity. And we have had some challenges in that area, and we have had discussions with the mayor, because there is need for culture change with the employees of the city corporation, because what they do, they sweep the streets, and the streets are clean, but the drains, the underground drains, are filled with garbage. We have utilized the Water and Sewage Authority vacuum trucks in order to retrieve all that garbage. And when we began to implement and put grates in these water inlets, we had some challenges from the employees of the city corporation. But through collaboration with the mayor and the city engineer, we have been able to get about some resolution. But we continue that collaboration with Mayor Lee Singh and his office.
Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
When we come back, lights along the Camden Link Road. Stay with us. Minister of Works and Infrastructure, the Honourable Surajratan Rambachan, made a very important announcement regarding lands for squatters who have been affected by the San Fernando to Point Fortin Highway. The minister said that because of the delay to the preparation of those lands, completed lots are now available at Picton Phase 1.
Speaking at a post-cabinet media briefing, Minister Surajratan Rambachan was happy to announce that the squatters would now be offered these lands under the same conditions that Cedar Hill was in fact being offered.
This means that each of the 44 squatters, now to be situated at Picton Phase 1, they would receive or granted a residential lease in respect of a parcel of land comprising approximately 465 square meters or 5,000 square feet.
The minister said the leases will be for a term of 30 years.
and the leases will be granted at an annual rate to be determined by the Commission of State Lands on the advice of the Commissioner of Valuations.
Also speaking at the post-cabinet briefing was Minister of Community Development Winston Gypsy Peters. He also had very important pronouncements to make. The first was the Export Company Centre Limited, ECCL, which is responsible in part for the eradication of poverty in Trinidad and Tobago.
The Export Company Limited has made a proposal and Cabinet has agreed to give them a grant of $11.5 million, which in fact would be able to guide them, help them along with the programs that we have.
He adds that the ECCL has expanded its overall objective to include the provision of craft training and development to the unemployed and to make them employable.
The ECCL has commenced its handicraft production on a limited scale at 3 of its centers, namely Mausika, where we're going to be doing woodworking, Movan, where we are going to be doing wood carving, and Piaco, where we are going to be doing textile.
Joseph Lopez, News 4.
In other news, the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission has installed new streetlights along the Camden Link Road. The lights are a new type being introduced to the country and are expected to save the country millions of dollars.
TNTech has commissioned the streetlights in Phase 1 of the Camden Link Road Illumination Project. The project will benefit residents of Calcutta No. 2, Balmain, Macbean Village and environs. Phase 1 was completed in 2 weeks' time. The lights are new to Trinidad and are known as induction lights. Apart from the improved visibility for drivers along the link road, Chairman of TNTech, Shushila Ramkisoon, outlines the other benefits of the new street lights.
It is more economically feasible. Over the minimum 10-year life of these bulbs, this short span of road will save us just under $1 million, as the maintenance costs are significantly less and the lamps last up to 4 times longer. Additionally, induction lights are more environmentally friendly because they use up to 50% less for the same level of lighting as conventional sources and can be disposed of in an environmentally friendly manner.
Mrs. Ramkisoon Mark says this road stands as a model for quality streetlights similar to those in use in Europe and North America. She adds it helps TNTech fulfill its quest to enhance quality of life for all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Minister of Public Utilities, the Honourable Nizam Bashk, believes the Commission's commitment to enhancing the quality of life for citizens throughout the entire country cannot be doubted.
In the last fiscal year, the Commission installed 2,631 streetlights and upgraded 235, a commendable feat for which I'm sure they are working hard to surpass this year. In fact, just last month, 132 streetlights were installed or upgraded in areas all over Trinidad and Tobago, from Foster Road in Sangre Grande to Boudou Trace in Siparia.
Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
When we come back, the Soca Warriors return home from OSN Cup. Stay with us. The senior men's national football team returned from Saudi Arabia on Thursday night following their participation in the OSN Cup. The Soca Warriors put in a credible performance at the friendly international tournament, which also included the United Arab Emirates, New Zealand and the host nation. News 4 Sports was at the Piaco International Airport for the team's arrival, and we have more in this report from Wayne Cunningham.
The efforts of the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association to keep the senior men's national team active continue to bear fruit. The Warriors return on Thursday from the OSN Cup in Saudi Arabia after placing third following an impressive victory over the host. Head coach Stephen Hart was pleased with the showing of the team in Asia.
We went into the first game with some difficulty, expected difficulties, but the players responded very, very well. And then in the second game, we started well, had a difficult middle period and ended well. So, I mean, in all, considering the circumstances, The players responded very well, and I'm pleased with the results.
According to Hart, the work is far from over.
From my standpoint, I'm still looking at players to fit in and create competition within the squad. We've focused a bit more on the attacking side of the game, but we got to do better on certain elements. We already spoke to the players about it. So there's a lot of work to be done still. The players have, they've made sacrifices. They're putting themselves out there, and they deserve a little bit of love from everybody. They've really worked hard and above and beyond in some instances, and I think it should be rewarded.
One of those players is Kevin Molino. The midfielder has noted many positives in the national team since the Gold Cup.
Most important, I think, is the depth we have in the team. We changed up a couple of players and we continue to do well. So it have some positive coming out of the Gold Cup and also the tournament in Saudi Arabia. And we're just delighted for coming third, and we're just looking forward for all the international friendlies coming up.
Molino is pleased with the team chemistry under Coach Hart.
I think we have a couple experience like Denzel Theobald, who've been to World Cup. We have Chan also. We have Kenwin Jones, who playing in England, Callum Highland. So we don't already have experienced players. It's just for the youngsters to get on board and continue doing what they do best and listening to coach and keep getting good results.
Warrior fans are now hoping for a home friendly to see this transformation live. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
In other sporting news, the BGTT Secondary Schools Football League got into full swing on Wednesday with matches nationwide. News 4 Sports took its cameras to the North Zone for the clash between East Mukarapo and QRC. And we got some spectacular action. Wayne Cunningham has the highlights.
It's early days yet in this season of the BGTT Secondary Schools Football League, but two teams with rich histories in schools football met in a North Zone encounter as Queens Royal College hosted East Mukarapo Secondary. QRC got into stride as early as the 4th minute with this Isaiah Villalba free kick. Justin Redmond coming close to the opener. Former Mukarapo standout Clint Marcel is now running things at QRC, and he was pleased with his early effort. We think he surely would be following this. Nikolai Dibu with a volley which is worth another look. 1-0 QRC. Mukarapo responded 10 minutes later. Akeem Roach with a strike which the goalkeeper should have done better with. 1-1 the score at half-time. On the resumption, Mukarapo took the league for the first time. Jahir Edwards meeting the ball well and scoring from the tight angle to make it 2-1. It soon became 3-1 as Mukarapo took over. The keeper doing well to deny the first attempt from Edwards, but he could do little about the follow-up. The Royalians showed great character and were determined to get back into it. They were rewarded 10 minutes from full time after a neat build-up. 3-2 the score. As the shadows lengthened, Joshua Sylvester had a chance to ease the nerves for Mukarapo, but once again, the QRC custodian did some good blocking. The cushion was not needed as coach Ian Clausel and his East Mukarapo men held on for the 3-2 win over Queens Royal College. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us. Since its inception in 1963, the Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy competition has been inextricably linked to the goal of national development. Through this, the Ministry of Community Development saluted the immeasurable contributions to the rich cultural diversity that has been reflected in Best Village over the years in the form of an awards and dinner ceremony.
The ceremony has been designed to honor a total of 20 persons and community groups who have been contributing to the development of the Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy competition from 1963 to 2013. It rightly puts in the spotlight on icons who have demonstrated great technical ability, extraordinary talent, and above all, a commitment to community. Over the years, Best Village, as it is known, has been a major contributor to the development and preservation of arts and culture in Trinidad and Tobago. The evening also saw performances from winners of the Best Village 2013 Indian Folk Dance category, the Swastika Dancers. Addressing the gathering at the event, Minister of Community Development Winston Gypsy Peters says the award ceremony served to highlight the history, stories and contributions of these cultural icons over the past 50 years. Honoring our cultural icons, he adds, is of utmost importance because Best Village can be hailed as the only platform which preserves our country's folk heritage and cultural traditions.
From one handicraft competition, as you have heard before, it has steadfastly maintained its original mission to building interconnected communities and has expanded to much, much more. Over the years, the institution grew to become a household name and a source of pride to our nation.
The minister applauded the staff of Best Village for making this publication available so that the individuals, groups, and organizations that shaped the many events can be preserved which have been left by the cultural icons.
Because we know how hard it is when you're a performer, your family suffer. Sometimes for days they don't see you, and sometimes they sacrifice personal things to do the things that they have to do. But they understand that, so we congratulate them as well.
In commemoration of Best Village 50th anniversary, the Ministry of Community Development is looking to the next 50 years and is already fleshing out plans for the enhancement of the Best Village program, including additional training, tutors, strategies for increasing participation in the competition. Also the establishment of a village folk museum and resource center. This center, we're told, will build on the legacy of our icons whose commitment and achievements we celebrate today will bring citizens full circle to the original folk pride in our country and the forging of a national identity. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you for joining us.